In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right. We're going to continue our little touristy bit. Perhaps by looking at these pictures, you can gradually realize that that's what my personal life has consisted of. I've just been hopping around all over the place. And we happen to be now hopping into Jerusalem. Actually, I've been to Jerusalem about 4 times. I went to Jerusalem when I was about 20 plus. When I was doing military service in Cyprus, I went once, 2 times, and then recently I went twice again to take these pictures. So I'm fairly familiar with Jerusalem. I've been there 4 times. And but anyway, that's by the by. So we have here a more, and as I say, this is just on here's the Jaffa Gate. Now, the Jaffa Gate, why is it called? This is the Gate of Damascus, Jaffa Gate, because the Jaffa goes down to the seashore. So if you land in Israel, you're coming in Tel Aviv, the airport, and the airport is not too far from Jaffa, and Jaffa is just a little bit of part of Gaza. But anyway, now we're going along here. We're now going to go to Zion, which is the southwest of Jerusalem, the bottom down here. See, okay, now this is the boat. Here we're going here now. We're going now. This is the Tower of David. This imposing thing. Now, you see, what we're doing now is we've come down from the on the west of Jerusalem, taking a road going down to Zion, the present Zion. We're going down. This is a tavern, and this is Armenians. And we'll just point out. We've just mentioned the Jerusalem, the old Jerusalem, is divided up. Just this part is the Armenian sector, and it's the biggest sector. One of the reasons is, of course, because Armenia was perhaps the first country that took up Christianity, and also perhaps the first country the left became the Armenian Orthodox. Incidentally, when I was there in Jerusalem, I met that there are 3 types of Armenians: the Armenians who are schismatics, the Armenians who are uniates. In other words, there are Armenians who are Catholic, but some of them use the Armenian rite, and some of them use the Roman rite. But anyway, the main thing about Armenia is 1 million of them were killed by the Turks in a genocide, because they live on maybe the place where the Kurds live. There's a bit of haji-baji there. But anyway, the Armenians, this is on the road down from on the west of Jerusalem down to Mount Zion. All right, we'll continue this trek. Now down in Armenia, okay, now this is the kind of thing they go in for, these ceramics and things, and they have, obviously they've got to make a living selling things to the tourists. Okay, Armenian ceramics of Jerusalem, okay, have a good time. Okay, I haven't got any money to buy your products, but anyway, they're a pretty good show. Armenians are putting on a good show here. All right, now the Armenians, now what we're going to go, okay, now what is this? The convent, Armenian convent of St. James. Okay, well now St. James, for the last 1,800 years, people have done the Camino. The Camino in, the Camino in north of Spain, and that's Jacob. Okay, Jacques, this is French, Jacques, Jacob, all right? And maybe come again, Jim. But anyway, Jacob. Now this is James. So James. Now James, what happened to James here? He had his head cut off. This is, if you go in there, you can find out with the place where St. James had his head cut off. And the story goes that he went off to Spain and he preached, then he came back again, and then his dead body was carried on a boat of stone. You have to have, if you want to be a saint, you don't take a wooden stone, you take a stone boat. This proves you're pretty holy. You can travel on a stone boat. But anyway, he arrives on the west coast of Spain, and there we have, that's the rest is history, as they say. They have the St. James, the Compostela. The Compostela is the camp, the field of the stars, because his body was found there. There were stars there, and we all know another name, which is not very ecumenical, is Matamora. James was called Matamora. What does Matamora mean? Matamora means kill Muslims, kill Moors, because we all know that Spain was occupied by the Moors for 700 years. And whenever they got into trouble, they wanted to kick the Moors out. Whenever they got into trouble, they used to say, James, come along, we want to kick out the Moors. and he would arrive on a horse and deal with the situation. So that was James, and he had his head cut off here, and we have these Armenians. They're very, very wonderful people, and there's a guy sitting there wondering what he's going to do. So they have the patriarch of the Armenian, Major Patrick. He lives here, and they have a seminary here. They have a convent here. They have everything. The Armenian quarter in the old city of Jerusalem is quite something. I attended their morning prayers in the dark. They have the whole thing memorized, and it's really quite. Okay, now this is going to Zion. You see, this is we're going to Zion. This is the walls of Jerusalem. We're going down this road, Zion. Now this is we probably will question and say, well, that's very odd. Very odd. We're now on the southwest of Jerusalem. But if we get the traditional map of Jerusalem, we see that Zion is not on the southwest of Jerusalem. The Zion is the southeast of Jerusalem, at the bottom, where the Gihon spring, and where obviously the whole thing started off. But we won't go into all the geographical history of how it happened, because if you what happens if there are various things. For example, Jerusalem is divided into two hills. Parallel. This is a hill here, and there's another hill here, and you have to go through the Tyropaean Valley, the Valley of the Cheeses, and then you get onto this Zion here. So there's the old Zion, but it's very apt, because you have in Jerusalem you have the old Zion, and this is the new Zion. So it's very symbolic, this new Zion, because the new Zion is the Catholic Church, is heaven, it's everything new. So we're going to the new Zion, although at the moment kind of architecturally the thing is a bit jabby, it's not up to much, but it's the symbolism of it. The new Zion is the Catholic Church, and we're now going to the new Zion. The old Zion is on the southeast. The new Zion is on the southwest, and we're now going into it. Now we go through this gate, the gate of Zion, the Zion gate. You see, we're going down through here. We're walking down. Okay, here we are. We're just going to go into the into Zion. And this is one of the gates to go through. I go through here. All right. Now we've just reminded ourselves that you see, here we are. We're on the walls here. We're going on. And, okay. Now what do we got? Now why do we call it the New Zion? As we just mentioned passing, the New Zion is replete with symbolism, etc. This is the place of the Last Supper. Obviously, they've got a lot of Arabic here because at the moment it's being, the caretakers are Arabic, they're Muslims, and they keep fighting with the Catholics. And if you want to write a room of about 5 volumes, you could write it. When the Franciscans came in here, they took over. And then the Arabs came in and they kicked over. But at the moment, it's run by the Arabs, by the Muslims. So you've got the Arabic script here, and but this is the place, according to tradition, not this actual room, because this is probably been built by the Crusaders, but this site is traditionally called the site of the Last Supper. So obviously we're going to talk about the new Zion, the new world. It's come from the Last Supper. And we can just remind ourselves, you know, in English we have the word, the Holy Grail. And we say, can we find the Holy Grail? G-R-A-I-L, the Holy Grail. And we have, you know, the story which comes from Brittany, probably not from England, King Arthur and the 12 Knights. What were they looking for? They were looking for the Holy Grail. And the Holy Grail was the chalice that Jesus used during the Last Supper. So the chalice that Jesus sums up the Eucharist, the new Israel, the new Zion, the new everything. And that's just as we mentioned. So this is the Last Supper, where the Mass was instituted as the family meal of the Trinity and the humans. The Mass is what Mass is a family meal of humans and God is the Last Supper, and it initiates every day so the first Mass was said here. Yeah, okay, so that's it. We're going to go. This is the first Mass, the Last Supper, and we have the windows here. So we can say we've got a few tourists, got these pilasters, and we've got the vaults here, and the people looking around. And so here, but in this place, not only was it the Last Supper, there was also Pentecost. So we can remember the three big feasts of the Jews was the Passover, Pentecost, and then the Feast of the Tabernacles. And on the Feast of Pentecost, which is, symbolizes the law coming down on the Jews, we have it at a Pentecost. So what happened was the Lucan and the old Israel was instituted. Well, at Pentecost, the Holy Spirit came down on the 12 apostles and Mary and some people from Rome. So the Catholic Church, according to our kind of historical terms, although the Catholic Church, of course, was in the mind of God before the creation of the world, because that's what the whole thing is about, is the Catholic Church. And that because the world, the Catholic Church, means the whole universe, heaven and earth together. So the birthday of the Catholicness, happy birthday to you. This is the birth, this is where the Catholic Church was born. Because just as in the Tower of Babel, they were all speaking in many tongues and they couldn't understand each other. The reverse happened here. Peter, this uncouth, you could say, Galilean fisherman, he went out there and everybody from Cappadocia and Greece and everywhere, they all could understand. In other words, it was the refashioning of the world took place at Pentecost. In other words, before Pentecost, people couldn't understand each other. They didn't know what was going on. But after Pentecost, the Catholic Church unites the whole world. And so the Pentecostal event is the birth of the Catholic Church. And we'll just mention the fact. The fact there was also a delegation from Rome. So it included Rome, and Rome is where we're going to go shortly. But anyway, we have here, this is the place of the Last Supper, the place of Pentecost, and so you see all the vaults here. This is the site where all these New Jerusalem events took place. And we're just in passing, you see this is inside the thing, which is probably, probably a Crusader creation, but it's on the site of what the Old Testament was, you know. And just next to this, just shortly, we're going to go, what do we got here? This is another kind of difficult thing. You see the harp that gives us grain. The harp, and these are Torahs. In these cylinders, they have Torahs. In other words, the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Old Testament, they were kept in scrolls, and this is supposed to be the tomb of David, reputed to be the tomb of David. And of course, who knows? But it was probably maybe because the city. We said just now that originally Zion was the southeast, and it's also called David's city. And for all sorts of reasons, historical reasons, it ends up here. So whether this is really the tomb of David, or is it on the east, or where it is, who knows. But anyway, it's quite nice, really. We can see, this is David's tomb. You can see the harp here, harping away, you know. We all know he was a great harpist. So this is, and they go this, and the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims, they all believe this is David's tomb. And we can remember then when Peter went out on Pentecost, he said, we still have David's tomb with us now. So at the time, 2,000 years ago, they all knew where David's tomb was now. We are now a bit hazy, but the main thing is we know there's a guy called David, and that he was buried here somewhere around in Jerusalem, whether it's this exact spot or on the other old zone, I don't know. But anyway, he was part of the whole setup. So we can see here that David is very much part of the Jewish life. The Star of David is the symbol of the Jewish people. You can see all the writing here. You see the Star of David. You see there's the Star of David. And the Star of David, the Star of the Magi, and the star which was when Balaam came around and he was told to curse the Jews. When Balaam was told he was to curse the Jews, he saw coming up from Jacob, he saw a star rising, and he was saying, the house of Jacob will be this, that, and the other. So the eye of the star comes from the Old Testament. It's used by the Jews, and the Christians use it for the star of Bethlehem. So the star belongs to the Jews, and it sums up, you know, that everybody, the superstar. Are you a superstar? Oh, okay, a superstar is somebody who goes after Jesus is the top superstar. Just as it's the Star of David, as you could say, it's the Star of Jesus. And that is why you and me are superstars. Okay. All right.